What's up, guys? This is out here for the Team Fantasy Football League Commissioner Cody. I'm here with your Week 4 preview. So before I get into everything, I held a vote today. I wanted to get my guys' opinions on do they prefer short recaps and previews, long recaps and previews. So I want to get them more involved. I want them to be interested in this stuff. We had an overwhelming 6-0 because we couldn't get half the league to vote. I don't know why. That's kind of annoying. Because I do this for everybody. I want everybody to be involved. So either way, 6-0. So what I'm going to do is, that's going to start next week. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do recaps shorter. They prefer to have the recaps shorter. And I'm going to have the previews be a little bit more in depth. What I find interesting, I seem to say intriguing a lot. Brandon has told me. Thank you, Brandon. I will make an intriguing section on that. Among some other things, I'll come up with some ideas, give you guys some in-depth analysis on my personal predictions and matchups and things like that. With that being said, we're going to continue on to today's tasks at hand. I don't know why I said tasks like that, but I wanted to pronunciate the S at the end because there's multiple tasks. So what there's two things I want to get through today. The first ever out here for the Team Fantasy Football League power rankings. For the keeper league anyway. Actually, you know what? This is the first ever time I did a power rankings, even on my other leagues, which is pretty amateur hour of me. But hey, we're slowly becoming better amateurs at this. So without further ado, I told you guys in the previous video that I had the middle four in order, but I did not have the top four or the bottom four. While I did put I already told you guys the middle four. I'm going to give you straight 1 through 12. I'm going to explain some criteria as well. So what is important to me as far as how I'm ranking you? Obviously, your record is important. I start by going by the undefeateds to the 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, etc. And then we look at your teams. I want to look at who you played. I want to look at your strength of schedule. So for example, Scott and Will just played last week. Well, Scott and Will have a harder matchup, facing each other compared to Kyle playing Dylan. You know what I mean? So in the future, like if I was, say Kyle ended up 5-2 and Scott ended up 5-2 for whatever reason, and I'm looking at strength of schedule, but Kyle only played Dylan, Craig, and a bunch of lower ranked teams, and he's 2-1 or 5-2. You know what I mean? Then Scott's obviously going to beat that tiebreaker. Strength of schedule. And also I'm looking at your rosters. I'm looking at your health. I'm looking at how you're building your team. Obviously I don't have a blueprint to the perfect roster to have, but I do have my personal preferences. And again, this is all my opinion. So if you don't like it, feel free to give me your opinion. I will tell the world what your opinion is as well. I want my guys to be involved. With that being said, build your teams, man. Make some trades. These are just your power rankings, my opinion, and we're going to start off with 12. We'll make our way up to 1. And I'll give a little bit of analysis on why I chose certain things the way that I did as well. So at 12, we have Dylan. Unfortunately, 0-3. Hopefully things can turn around for you, but you got to get uninjured. Until that happens, I feel, and you start putting up some solid points. Even if you may take a loss, you put up 180 points, that might slide you up from 12 to 10, you know what I mean, between the undefeateds. Because the undefeateds aren't really putting up the winless. The winless aren't putting up big points, so that could make the difference, you know what I mean? I like your roster, however, the roster is really hurt, and your point totals are very, very low. So, Dylan, unfortunately, I have you down at 12. Gary, I have you next at 11. Why do I have you at 11? Probably because you probably could have a win right now if you would have paid attention to set your lineups. You laid down and let people beat the shit out of you in fantasy. Not really, I guess. That's a bit disrespectful. But, week 1, Eric was wondering where you were at because your team just never showed up. I know I beat the heck out of you in week 2. And this week you could have won if you would have set your lineups. But now I believe it was Kyle you played. No, it wasn't Kyle. It was Phil you played, and you didn't set your lineup. You lost the matchup. Unfortunately, you just deserve to be at 11. The only reason you're not at 12 is because Dylan's team is just so underperforming and so hurt. Like, it's that bad. Moving up to 10, Craig, you're at 10. This rounds out the winless teams. It's not in order by record, as I said. It just happened to be that way. Craig, you are 0-3, but you are the best winless team, in my opinion. I think that you'll be all right. It's just a matter of when things start falling your way. When that happens, there's no reason why you can't be in that middle four. Moving up, we'll go 9 is Kyle. I bet you a lot of you are wondering, why is 2-1 Kyle 9 on the power rankings? Shouldn't we be showing Kyle some love? We should be, but the issue that I have with Kyle and Kyle's team is they don't deserve to have 2 wins. They don't deserve to have 1 win, okay? And this isn't my personal opinion on his team. I'm telling you, based on the scores he puts up every week, there's no reason he should have 2 wins. The only reason is because his strength of schedule has been so low. He beat Dylan in week 1, Dylan put up 100 points. Kyle only put up 125, if I'm not mistaken. Week 2, he had a stronger week, but he shouldn't have 2 wins. That's just my point blank period. I don't know. Kyle, I hope that your team starts putting up the points to deserve 3-1, 4-1, etc. But I just, with all due respect, I can't have you higher than 9 right now when you should really be 0-3, in my opinion. Moving on from Kyle up to 8 is Brandon. As I told you guys, the middle 4 is pretty much solidified. Brandon is number 8 because he lost head-to-head to Ohftt. They're the battle of the 1 and 2s. Those are the only 2 1 and 2 teams in the league. Moving up to 7 is Ohftt. As I said, he beat Brandon in the head-to-head matchup. That's the only difference. Now he did lose to Will, to Liam, but that's why you're all the way down there. That's, if you would have beat Liam, you could easily be in that 5 spot right now, but you're not. Unfortunately. Sorry, buddy, but your team is good. Your team is good, just like Brandon's. You guys are like right there, but you're just not showing up when you need to. Unfortunately, that has you in the 7 slot, Ohftt, and unfortunately, Brandon, like I said, you're in the 8 spot. Moving up to number 6, Phil, you're at number 6. You're 2-1. You're strong. The only reason I don't have you there is because the week that you and Liam did not win, Liam would have beat you in a head-to-head matchup. Does that make sense? So the way that I did that one personally was you guys both got wins in week 1 and week 3. Congratulations. But in week 2, when you both did lose, Liam had more points that week. That's the only reason you're in the 6th spot, Phil. Liam, you're at 5 because you're so fucking consistent. You beat Ohftt for that 5 spot. You have all the and like I said, you would have scored more points than Phil in week 2 if you would have played each other. That's another reason why the tiebreaker. But you have earned that right. You are right on that doorstep at 2-1 with Phil, of course. But you're right on that doorstep at 2-1, knocking on the door, be like, "Yo, Eric, when are you gonna when you let me slide in that 4 spot?" Which then slides into my next number, 4. Eric, you're at 4. The reason that I have you at 4 is because you put up the least showing of the losers of the undefeateds. So you and Will both took losses last week. Will lost to Scott. Scott, that was a much better game. However, you didn't show up against Cody. It's just, you didn't put up points. You're hurt. I get it. I understand. It's no fear to me. I'm sorry that you're hurt. But I'm not sorry as another person in this league that wants to beat you again. With that being said, number 3, as I said, was Will. Will, you are number 3 because you put up a very strong showing. You didn't disappoint. Lamar Jackson disappointed for you. Hence why you're not in that top 2 spot. Your team's very strong. It's just not strong enough to be up in number 2. Number 2, I have Cody at number 2. 1, because I love his team. As as unbiased as I could possibly be about that. But number 2, he is undefeated. You have to give credit where credit is due. And even though Eric didn't show up in week 3 and, Will was close to beating Scott, even though Lamar Jackson didn't show up and things like that, I understand that. But at the same time, Cody still has dominant wins. Cody would have still beat Will in week 3. You know what I mean? So even though Will lost to Scott, Cody would have beat Scott as well, but Will, you lost. That's the problem. If you would have beat Scott, then I would have maybe had a conversation between Cody and Scott being number 2, but I don't. That's what I mean. Moving on to number 1, as I said, Scott, you are number 1. For a couple reasons. One, even though I did outscore you this week, and that doesn't matter. It's more though your consistency. You're consistently getting 193 is your lowest point total, if I'm not mistaken, this year, which is. That's your bad week. Jeez Louise. You know what I mean? And you're defending champion. That's just out of respect for me to you as your commissioner, and as Cody to Scott. We're friends. Like, I respect you. Even though I hate you, I respect you. And your team is very, very good. It's not like, I can just say Cody's team's better than him. It's not that easy. Scott, you are number 1. So just to round it out from 1 to 12, Scott, number 1, Cody, number 2, Will's number 3, Eric is number 4, Liam at number 5, Phil, number 6, Matt Hobert at number 7, Brandon is number 8, Kyle is number 9, Craig at 10, Gary at 11, and Dylan at 12. If you guys have any questions, you feel like that's not fair, the messages are always open. The messenger, feel free to complain. I hear it all the time. All right. At the end of the day, this is my opinion, and I'm willing to listen to your side of the story. We can talk. I didn't, do some in-depth thing where I looked at every matchup, and I just did a quick little. I did some research on the matchups and things, but nothing in depth. So if you have something important you want to talk about that I may have missed, that things, maybe, for example, that Craig should be higher than Hobert and Brandon, sure. But I told you my criteria and why I put you where you are. Each individual person. So if you feel some type of way, I'm sorry. Let's have a conversation. With that being said, let's move on to our Week 4 preview. Woo! Yeah. All right. We're going to start with our defending champ, Scott. Scott is playing Red Hot Liam. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Not Red Hot Liam. We're going to give you consistent Liam. Liam is going to give you anywhere between 170 to 190 points every week. It just is what it is. I told you every week. Scott, so Scott is 3-0. To Liam's 2-1. Projections for Scott 183.5 to Liam's 176.2. Scott, you have yet to score less than 193 points. So until you do hit the 170s, 180s, I'm gonna give you the nod. Liam's team is very solid. As we saw with Hobert the previous week, if you don't show up, Scott, Liam will beat you. He's consistent for that. Like I told you, he's going to get in that middle slot consistently every week. So don't sleep, Scott. But I am picking you. I picked against you last week, obviously, and I was wrong. I'm on Scott's bandwagon, I guess. He's the number 1 seed. And number 1 in the power rankings. Moving on to Matt Hobert versus Will, 7th ranked versus 3rd ranked, 1-2 for Hobert to 2-1 for Will, 158.8 Matt's projections. The Will's 188.7. So, geez Louise. Hobert's a bit hurt. He's out he's without Godwin, and he's not really that hurt. Just Godwin's out. But he's also on a rough patch. He is playing Will, who's probably very angry that he lost to Scott. He probably should have won against Scott. Lamar Jackson's probably upset that he lost to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. I just don't see how Will does not blow up on Matt. I'm sorry, Matt, but you picked the wrong week to play Will. I'm sorry for doubting you in the past, Will, but I am on the bandwagon this week. Hopefully we can get you back on that W streak, because I know you want to be in that number 1 seed. Or then, whatever. You know what I'm saying when I say seeds and positions and things like that. Just my power rankings. Moving on to Craig versus Brandon. Battle of number 10 versus number 8. 0-3 for Brandon. I'm sorry, 0-3 for Craig, 1-2 for Brandon, 155.8 for Craig, 170.9 for the projections for Brandon. I believe they played each other last week. I think there's a couple matchups, as I said yesterday's video, that are going to be back-to-back matchups. I believe this is one of them. I don't see another outcome happening other than week 1 for this one. Brandon will get the win here, I believe. Craig is, like I said, he's really close. Watch out, Brandon. Craig's team's really close. If he just takes that leap, like I keep telling you, you're right there. It's only a matter of time before he starts putting up big points. So I hope that you keep the mojo going, Brandon. I am picking you. I don't hope. I'm just saying that I'm picking you. So I guess in that regard, I hope that you win. But good luck, Craig. Good luck, Brandon. Moving on to Kyle versus Dylan. I think they might have played each other last week as well. Again, I don't remember, and honestly, I'm not really that worried about it. Kyle's 2-1 to Dylan's 0-3. Number 9 versus number 12. 142.1 is Kyle's projection to 155.8 is Dylan's projection. I believe Kyle did play him last week, or maybe he played Gary. I don't really care. I think Dylan's going to have the upset here. Even though the projections say otherwise on the upset, I'm just saying based on my rankings, the upset's going to happen. Dylan, if you can just you finally got Galladay back, you can just get Michael Thomas to be somewhat of Michael Thomas last year, then you are going to be in some good spots moving forward. But again, we have to see it. This is just a gut call. Kyle, I'm sorry, I just don't like your team very much. Until you start putting up consistent numbers, I just can't believe in it. And like I said, this is a gut call for Dylan. I don't know. I just have a feeling. Best of luck, guys. I hope that you get yourself some wins because you're gonna need them moving forward. Phil versus Gary, 6 versus 11. 2-1 for Phil, 0-3 for Gary. 177.7 is Phil's projection to Gary's 162.7. I believe this was the matchup last week as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure, as I've said 100 times. Phil's going to beat Gary. I don't see Gary changing his lineup, and I don't see Cam Akers coming back anytime soon. So if Gary keeps not sending his lineup, then we're going to have a conversation, Gary, because that's just not how I want the league to be run. I want everybody hands-on. So we're going to figure this out one way or another, and I hope that we figure this out with you changing your lineups. I will not do it, and I don't know, I might not tolerate it. I don't like it. I don't like auto picks, and I don't like lineups not being checked. With that being said, I have Phil winning. I don't know if I already said that. Moving on to another matchup, the final matchup, which is this week's matchup of the week. Just because based on the average of the numbers. 2 versus 4. Well, 4 versus 2, I guess. Eric versus Cody. Eric 2-1, Cody 3-0. Eric 148.4 projection to Cody's 169.2 projection. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Cody just wiped the floor with Eric's team last week. Eric's team decided they didn't want to show up to work and play football. They are hurt. A lot of them are hurt. I told him to tell his girlfriend to heal him up faster. I don't care if she's a respiratory nurse or not. She's a nurse of some sort. She had some sort of training. She can do these things. Melinda, I'm telling you, you can do this. Help your boyfriend out. I'm just kidding. Until Eric gets healthy, I know he's at number 4. It definitely was a toss up between Liam and Eric at 4 and 5. Even throwing Phil in there. I didn't do a lot of research, so that could easily change next week. That's probably an error on my part. But whatever. The top four teams, even though they lost, I still kept them in there. I just don't see you staying in the top 4 after this week. There could be a big shakeup in the middle. I'm very excited to see what it's looking like. I don't see Cody and Scott losing or Will, but for anywhere between 4 and 8 could shuffle up from top to bottom, just depending on who wins and who gets their clutch matchups. I'm very excited. With that being said, that's the Week 4 preview. If you have any questions about anything, I threw in the messenger. I was a little upset that only 6 people voted. It's important when I ask you guys for a vote. I'm just undecided. I would like for you guys to have an input. If you guys don't want to have that input, that's fine. But at the bare minimum, just fucking vote. This isn't the political parties. I understand it's not the political parties. Whether you take it seriously or not, depending on which way you want to say that, I'm just asking you to vote to help me make a decision for you guys. You know what I mean? So, we're going to figure something out. I'm going to try to get a little bit more creative with these videos. The issue is it takes so much time to prepare and do all this stuff, and I work all day, and I mean, a bunch of excuses, obviously, but I'm just asking you to help me help you so you guys can be more involved and be more enthusiastic, because I feel like there's a top half of you are really happy and enjoy doing this and want to do this all the time. And I see all y'all are reading the messages, but nobody wants to comment or do anything. It's the same people over and over. And I like these people, but I want to hear from my other friends. Like, you know, we go back years, all of us, like with me specifically. And I know that we all know each other one way or another, minus maybe Will, because he's new last year, and I know him personally from another league and stuff. But, you know, I just want you guys to be involved. And, you know, I know the texting, me sending messages in the messenger isn't exactly the best way to get my point across, because, you know, text is so black and white. But, you know, I want you guys to be involved. I want people to watch this. I want you guys to watch this. I want to not feel like I'm wasting my time doing this shit. Like, dead ass, because I don't have to. I want to, not just for you guys, but even for myself. But I want your feedback. Like, that's all I want. I got hair in my mouth. Whatever. Got it. Cool. All right, guys. I'll see y'all on Tuesday. Maybe I'll do another video at some point. I don't know. Fuck it. I do what I want. I'm the commissioner. It's your Cody. It's out here for the Team Fantasy Football League commissioner, Cody, and I'll see y'all on Tuesday. Adios, amigos.